and you are living in your greatest purpose. I want to make sure. Okay. Let me make sure I share this. All right. Peace, love, and divine light. All right. Peace, love, and divine. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are. I've already said it. I hope the sun is shining. Just give me a second so I can fix this. Okay. I hope the sun is shining wherever you are and you're living in your greatest purpose. Thank you for joining the live. There's a lot of energy, a lot of energy. And I wanted to come on here and talk about the current energy that is surrounding you. So, hey everyone, welcome to the live. As you're coming in, comment, let us know where you're tuning in from. And I just noticed that my phone is doing its own thing, so I'm gonna try to see if it'll behave itself. Okay, let's see. All right, y'all. Let me just make sure. Let's see if we can fix this. All right. Hopefully it decides to behave. All right. So let me know where you're tuning in from. Okay. So I'm just going to get right to it. Just get right to the point. So before coming on here, oftentimes I have ideas on, what I want to talk about. And before coming on here, I was working on some things. And I just happened to pull up a card, and y'all will notice, like, a lot of times when I'm doing the lives or I'm doing a live reading, like, certain cards will just speak. They'll just there's energy that comes from these cards. Okay, so like I can have a card in my hand and it doesn't speak anything. Okay. Yet for some reason I pulled up this card, and this is the card of the ancestors. Okay. I pulled up the card, and and there was a very strong message connected to this. Okay. It's about ancestors, and specifically this is significant for me. Okay. All right, let's get it together. All right, so this is significant for me because I started wondering why it is that this energy is so strong. And then I started thinking about just like my energy this week. Like this week I've just been in a very very quiet kind of like energy, very pensive. It almost feels like there's an energy that was asking me to connect with it. And I do believe that there is like an energy of an ancestor that is speaking, okay, that's wanting to say something. And then I started thinking about it. And I started putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, like this is significant specifically because of where I come from, IT. We are getting ready to actually, like, for many of us, we've been thinking about this, okay? For many of us who are Haitians, we've been thinking about this, whenever the month of October comes around. If you are Haitian, okay, it is a period of mourning for us. For many of us, it is a period of mourning because October is, the month that many of us mourn the loss of our ancestor, our liberator, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, okay? And I'm going to repeat his name because for hundreds and hundreds of years, they kept us from speaking his name. I'm going to speak his name, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. I invoke that energy, and I believe that it is his energy that came through here, and that I've been sensing this energy of loss. Okay, so for many of us who are Haitians, We mourn the loss of our liberator. Okay, we mourn the loss of a man who is, we call him a job. Okay, in our culture, job means force, it means a significant force. In the Euro Christian perspective, it's a very like demonic term. Okay, they refer to as Diablo. Okay, which is different than job. Job is DJ AB, okay, which means force. And a lot of Christians use the word job to mean demonic force, which is completely opposite of what this energy is. And I am sincerely feeling that loss. Okay, I'm sincerely feeling that loss, especially because of what my people are going through at this time. I mourn the loss of our liberator, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and I'm feeling this energy especially significant this year for whatever reason. And I started thinking about how it is that Jean-Jacques Dessalines' death seemed to correspond with the so-called, with the so-called, American, treacherous, holiday that they call Columbus Day. Okay, that heinous barbarian that they call, yes, I call them a barbarian. Okay, that heinous barbarian that they call Columbus. And I was thinking about how, that day seems to correspond with the death, and I'm going to say the transition, because the energy of Dessalines still lives. Okay, he is no longer in the physical form. His soul is being revived. It's being reborn. That's the energy that I got. That's the energy that I got. And it's like, while I feel like a sense of like mourning, okay, I also feel a sense of revival at the same time. And it's two different feelings. It's a feeling of excitement. At the same time, it's a feeling of, dang, like, Dessalines, Dessalines, if you were here, your people would not be suffering. And it's a mixture of different, energies, and I began to meditate on, the aspect of the very people that he freed. Okay, the very people that he freed were some of the very people that also betrayed him. Okay, that were the cause of his death. And this is something a lot of folks don't talk about, but Pétion and Christophe, like the people that, most Americans celebrate, Louverture, like a lot of those folks were the cause of his death. I'm not going to go into too much, y'all, because this live is not about me rambling. And hopefully, no, it's not rambling. I got you. Okay. So on October 17th, okay, this is a time of remembrance, okay, for us. This is a time of remembrance for a lot of Haitians who honor the energy of our liberator. All right. And if you are on this live and you are Haitian, whoever you are, and if you value freedom, okay, I urge you to light a candle and leave a glass of water for this soul that is not only significant to Haitians, okay? Jean-Jacques Dessalines is not only significant to the Haitian people. This is a man that believed in freedom for everyone. And I'm going to tell you not a fun fact, something that you may not have known. Okay? After we got our independence, after Jean-Jacques Dessalines fought, okay, I need a second, y'all. Whew. All right. After they eliminated the French, that was thought to be the most powerful force or the most powerful army in the world at the time. You have a group of melanated beings with very few physical weapons. They destroyed Napoleon's army with very little physical weapons. They did this with their magic. They did this with their mojo. They did this with the help of their ancestors. That's just the kind of people Haitians are. So we celebrate, okay? We celebrate the energy of Dessalines. We celebrate the energy of Dessalines because we know that that energy still lives. That energy is here. It's not here in the physical. It is here. He is present, okay, in the spiritual. And I do believe that it is important for us to light a candle and leave a glass of water to honor this, to honor his spirit, to honor his soul, so that his soul will be free. After he fought for our independence, you know, he was betrayed and he was assassinated. And they cut up his body into several pieces. And many of you may actually, you know, so if there are children on this live, you know, make sure they're not on there, okay? This story may sound very familiar to many of you. The story of Osiris, right? And this was a way for them to, dismembering him was a way for them to prevent him, and this is my take on it, this was a way for them to prevent him from being reincarnated, from coming back, okay? And not only did they do this to, in the spiritual sense, that was the significance of it. That was part of it. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that. Them harboring his energy, keeping, you know, his soul from being freed to come back. In addition to that, there was also this fear that they wanted to instill in the Haitian people to never actually revolt, to never fight. So they wanted to instill fear in the people. And at the same time, part of the reason why I believe they did that is to prevent him from coming back, his spirit from coming back. His spirit is still alive today. His spirit is definitely still alive. And many of you may be saying, well, this is not something that's relevant to you. This is, you know, this is IT. You're not from that country. You live here. And I'm going to tell you just a couple of reasons why this is significant for you. Because after they fought for their independence, they made IT a place where anyone who valued freedom could go. And they also assisted a lot of different countries who wanted to be free. They valued, you know, humanity. They value anyone who valued humanity. Okay? IT assisted a lot of different countries. It's something you may not even know. In fighting for their independence, they helped Greece, okay? They helped the Greek. Many of you may not know this. When a lot of people did not want to acknowledge, you know, Greece, Haitians, okay? acknowledged them during their fight, I believe, against the Ottoman Empire. They sent them supplies because at the time they had just fought, the French, and France imposed, a fee on Haiti, okay, for them to pay their independence. And so because of that, a lot of their funds were depleted, and so they couldn't do that. They couldn't do too much for Greece. So in place, they sent them, I believe they sent them coffee, which was one of the most prized resources at the time. Haitian coffee was one of the most prized resources at the time. And they also sent them military aid. Yeah, that's something that many of you may not hear about. So yes, Haiti helped Greece. They helped Venezuela. And even though a lot of folks, and FYI, the Dominican Republic and Haiti, they're not two different places, okay? It's only one island called Haiti Boyo Quisqueya. It was divided, during whatever, okay? They also helped the Dominican Republic as well, even though the DR at this time, there's like this big thing where Dominicans don't like Haitians and they're trying to help, bring them down and da-da-da. We're not going to get into the politics. What we ought to know is that here's a country that values freedom, that values humanity, and is there to help humans realize their humanity, whoever you are. That's the beautiful thing about Haitians, is that, we value humanity, whoever, regardless of who you are. Here's a country who values humanity, and the world doesn't recognize what it is that they've done till today. And many folks don't know what they've done till, still this day. So part of why this is important, I feel like many of you ought to know that I'm not just a tarot card reader. This is very important to understand, is I'm not just a tarot card reader. I am an intuitive reader. Okay. I read energy. I connect with the spirit realm. And for quite some time, this is a gift that's been very much, I had a lot of people in my energy, in my life, that have tried to convince me otherwise. Okay. For quite some time, I had a lot of people in my life that tried to convince me that I didn't see what I saw. They tried to convince me that my gift of sight, my gift wasn't a gift. I had people who tried to convince me that what I saw was, that I was paranoid. I had people that tried to convince me, oh, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist because you always see this, you always see that. And many of you may feel this. Okay, many of you may feel this energy. You may actually be getting it from certain people right now. And I do believe that me following this calling is significant, because as I am beginning to awaken, and I truly feel that I am still a baby in my awakening process, as I am going through my awakening process, I know that part of my task is to help others. Now, think about how much, how it would be if I didn't listen to that call. Think about how it would be if I actually allow people, and these are people that are close to me. We're talking about family members here. We're talking about so-called friends that tried to convince me that I didn't have a gift. Okay? They tried to ridicule these gifts. And they know who they are. Okay, and I'm not gonna cite names and stuff like that because I don't get into that stuff. And as I am, sitting here, just like connecting with the energy of who I am, I wouldn't be this person. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Dessalines. Dessalines, the liberator of our country. He is the person that, through what he did, he brought our humanity back. And today there are people who actually look like us, okay? That and some of it is unconscious, some of it is conscious. There are people who look like us that are trying to convince us otherwise, that are trying to convince us that we are not as powerful as Dessalines tried to, remind us that we are. It almost seems like, we're spitting on the work that he did. Okay? So it's like a lot of us have a lot of work to do. A lot of us Black folks, okay, people of color, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. This is, by far not a conversation about, Black or this or anything like that. But, he fought for that. He fought to make sure that we understand the power that we have. And today, we look at our brothers and our sisters, it's a little bit sad, y'all. It's a little bit sad, okay? Not just a little bit sad. It is sad that I feel like we forget, okay? We forget where we come from. We forget, the work of our ancestors. We forget that we are a product of those ancestors. And I see so many folks, y'all, who are just so knee deep in this Christianity thing. Like, that was one of the tools that they use, is religion. Okay? That was one of the tools that they use. Like, it was a weapon. You talking about weapons, okay? Like, spirituality is and still is a weapon that was used against our people. That it's probably one of the most powerful weapons that they use, because although a lot of these folks are not in physical chains, they're literally in a state of mental bondage. They are literally locked in their own prison, in their own minds. It's almost like they're not giving themselves permission to think. It's almost like, the period of time when they had an overseer, constantly watching over them, telling them what to do. It's like it never left. They're in a state of mental bondage, a lot of these folks. And they're not even trying to think about anything other than, what they've been taught. They don't question it. Even if you try to, explain the history of how Christianity was imposed, it was an imposed religion on African people, not just Haitians. It was an imposed religion on African people. You tried to, discuss that with them. You try to discuss, that whole thing about the birth of Jesus and how it just don't make sense, time wise, that whole like story is, freaking made up. You try to explain that to them. They won't buy it. They're like, nope. They're like, no, I'm good. I had somebody, y'all. Should I even tell y'all this story? Oh my goodness. I had somebody that was telling me that, that actually a lot of people told me this. Like, they're like, oh, you do tarot? No, I'm good. Like, You do spiritual readings. Yeah, I'm good. I don't get into that stuff. I just let Jesus take the wheel. They're like, I just let Jesus take the wheel. And then like a second later, they talking about going to some strip club and da da da. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. Y'all must be like, what kind of people you know? I know all kinds of people. That doesn't necessarily mean that we hang out. I know all kinds of people. But yeah, we definitely have to do better. We get to do better. And I do believe that there are some secrets. Okay, there are some secrets. It's like some secret knowledge, some secret information, secret in a sense that, possibly things that were hidden from us. Okay, with the assassination, excuse the French, some of you may not be comfortable with that word. Dessalines was, let's just say, taken out for the sake of for the sake of YouTube, because they don't like certain languages. Okay, when they took Dessalines out, there's a lot that they removed energetically. When they, dismembered him, okay, there's a lot that they did when they did that. It's an entity, it's an energy, whatever he represented, that force that he is. It's like they were communicating that every aspect, every member of who you are can no longer come together. I feel like dismembering this body was a means for them to dismember literally every aspect of this community coming together. That, I feel like, was part of their intention. In doing that, they were literally performing some sort of spiritual ritual here. Y'all know how deep this is? They were performing a deep spiritual, and I have read various things regarding, who these colonizers were in the background that they came from. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But there's a deep symbolic meaning with that. Like, why would you feel the need to not only assassinate this person? Oh, pardon the French, excuse me, YouTube. Why would you feel the need to take this person out? Not only take him out, but dismember him? There's a deep spiritual aspect with that, y'all. And part of what they were making sure they do, I believe that they knew what his energy stand for. Like, till this day, IET belongs to Dessalines. IET does not belong to anyone else but Dessalines. And by them dismembering him, I believe that they were sending a message. They were sending a message to the people, and at the same time, spiritually, they were ritualistically performing some ritual, okay? So the people would never experience peace again. And this is why you see there's been just so much, turmoil. It doesn't seem like the people can get themselves together, because that together that he represented, that force that he was, that brought it, and when I'm saying that brought the people together, I'm saying that it was because of him that they actually experienced what, being human means, because they were considered less than humane. And by what he did, he dispelled that. he said, no, that's not the case. And I would just love to speak to this Aline and talk to him about what ritual they did, um, that brought so much strength and force to this man, that allowed him to be invincible at the time of this battle. Like, you talking about folks that were going to war, and they were shot at, okay, and bullets did not penetrate them. Like, this is what it means to be a job. Like imagine, if you will, an army full of, they had all sorts of, like, Napoleon's army had all sorts of all sorts of armor, all sorts of weapons, and the Haitian people with very little. Okay, you talking about ex-captives here with very little. They defeated Napoleon's army. How did they do that? How? What allowed them to do it? There's a magic. There is a force that exists on that island that many people do not want a lot of Haitians to know and be connected with. And this is why Christianity was and still is important today. That's how they've been able to hold a lot of Haitians captive, is in the mind. Okay? And I'm pretty sure it goes a lot deeper than that. But think about the significance of Dessalines, what he did, okay? What he did with very few resources. And I'm saying few resources in terms of combat. Okay, in comparison to Napoleon's army, they had very, very little in the physical realm. Now, we know spiritually, as the young folks would say, they were strapped. Okay, Dessalines' army was strapped spiritually. Now, imagine what it would be like to speak to, this force today, and ask them about the rituals that they did, and what allowed them to have the strength to combat those forces. Think about that. So going back to what I was saying originally, if you value humanity, okay, if you value humanity, and this is especially for my Haitian out there, all right, do not forget the name of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. There's a reason why they spent years and years and years and prevented people from talking about him. Not only did they dismember him, they literally banned people from speaking his name, because there's power in words. So call on that energy. Call on that energy as often as possible. Do not forget that. I have a story for y'all about, I remember when, okay. So I remember when my eldest daughter was taking, piano lessons. And she was taking piano lessons, and I remember, during that time, like something kind of like prompted me to, to have the piano teacher teach her the Dessalines, okay, which is like the national anthem. All right. And there's a lot that I'm still learning about that. And I'm just letting you guys know the story. All right. And I remember giving her, like, I literally found the music notes. Okay. I found the notes and I gave it to the piano teacher. And I kid you not, the piano teacher pretended like they never saw the notes. They never saw and I asked the piano teacher several times. I was like, I gave you this because I want my daughter to learn this. Why is it that you haven't, told me anything? Why is it that, you haven't, corresponded with me on it? Because the piano teacher always made sure that if there was like, some music that we wanted to learn, that we wanted, to learn, that, we have that option. It was that day I learned that she intentionally, okay, this piano teacher intentionally did not, teach her that. Like, she didn't want her to know that. So we talking about how, after Dessalines' death, people did not want Haitian people to know his name. I'm telling you now, in 2025, there are still people that do not want you to know the name of Jean-Jacques Dessalines as a Haitian. I'm telling you that now, as a Haitian person, for you to speak the name of Jean-Jacques Dessalines in 2025, it is revolutionary. Ain't that some ish? Ain't that some ish? Like, this piano teacher did not want to teach mine about her culture. Okay? She didn't want to. It was very obvious. Like, people have a way of telling you no without telling you no. It was that kind of stuff. Like, she was very intent on ignoring the request for my daughter to learn about her culture, specifically the song. It was called the Dessalines. Okay? I wanted her to be connected with her culture, her roots. And obviously, this European piano teacher did not want her to. Okay? Did not want her to. Did not want her to be connected. And you know why? Because they know what kind of a force you become when you recite, when you connect with that name. They know what that name represents. They know. This is part of why they dismembered this man, is because they wanted to eradicate, they wanted to destroy every aspect of his energy. Until today, still today, what you'll find is that many schools will recite all types of, historical BS about Toussaint Louverture, but they will not mention Dessalines because they fear that name. People will talk about up and down how Toussaint Louverture is the liberator of Haitian. Bullshit. It's not Toussaint Louverture. It's Jean-Jacques Dessalines. And don't you forget it. Why? Because people like the idea of Louverture because he was someone who wanted to play nice with the colonizers. He was someone that thought that, you can rationalize with the colonizers. They love him. They love Louverture. In fact, you'll find a lot of historical facts on Louverture, but nothing on Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Because they fear that name. That's why he is a job. That's why Dessalines is a force. He is a force, and they know this. I honor your name, Dessalines. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the liberator of Haiti Boyo Kiskeya. Okay? And do not forget that name. Okay? Do not forget that name, because that name represents a lot for humanity. It is because of what Jean-Jacques Dessalines did that many of you, you value freedom. That came from that energy. So on October 17th, light your candles. Okay? This is especially for my Haitian people who are listening to this. Okay? If you're Haitian of heart and spirit, and this is the thing too, Dessalines believed that that's something that he believed, like, that aspect of humanity, like, I mean, it was obvious, like, he was supporting the Greece. Like, if you value freedom, you are a child of Dessalines. If you value humanity, you are a child of Dessalines. So light your candles. All right, light your candles, set up your altars, and invoke that energy. Whether you know it or not, that is an energy that is needed at this time. Dessalines' energy represents liberation, freedom for all people. Many of y'all get to know that what Haiti did is significant for the world. He communicated something major about what it means to be free and human. Like, there's no such thing as like bondage, if you're a human being. Like, the two and two don't go together. That's what he was saying. Like, you are meant to be free as a human being. So light your candle, make sure you have your water, invoke that energy, invoke the presence of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. So that way, whatever it is that they tried to do, okay, whatever it is that they thought they did to destroy his memory, to destroy, the work that he did, whatever it is that they think they did, they didn't do. Okay, this energy is alive and well. And many of you who value freedom for humanity, I strongly advise that you, and it's a suggestion, you don't have to. This is especially for the Haitian people at this time, especially if you believe, in making some significant changes for Haiti. It's important that, our ancestor, like, there isn't a culture in this world that doesn't value their ancestors. Okay, there isn't a culture in this world that is thriving, I should say, that doesn't have a strong foundation in their ancestor. And I do believe that part of the reason why us as Haitians are experiencing what we're experiencing is because it's almost like I'm getting an image of like, a child that is newly forming in the womb. And then you go ahead and cut off the umbilical cord. Like that umbilical cord is what connects you to your ancestral bloodline. And I feel like not only did they remove him, okay, take him out physically, by dismembering him, they literally removed the umbilical cord of the Haitian people. So how is it as a baby? And that's exactly what they were when they got their freedom. They were a baby. How is it that you're going to cut off the umbilical cord of this baby who's just receiving its nourishment? That's what they did. That's what they did when they took out our liberator. Is they literally tried to cut off the umbilical cord of the Haitian people to never, ever, ever again grow. And not only did you, remove him, you remove him from the history books, okay? You removed him in the schools. Children couldn't speak his name, okay? They didn't know who it is that freed them, what he did, by what means. All right, y'all. There are some crimes against humanity that really ought to be that is definitely a crime against the Haitian people. That is a crime against the Haitian people. It is a crime against the Haitian people. Ayiti is spelled Ayiti. So yeah, this is, I'm still as I'm learning, okay? As I am learning to use my throat chakra to clear out some of that throat chakra stuff. All right, because I do know that I have some of that stuff. And me being in my purpose and following my calling has helped me tremendously to clear out some throat chakra stuff. Like, it's crazy, y'all. It's crazy how some of these, self-imposed stuff can really keep you from elevating. Folks trying to convince you that you are less than because they are threatened, by your gifts. Folks imposing their stuff on you because they feel threatened by your gifts. It's some stuff. So as I am continuing to do the work, y'all, I encourage you to stay connected to your ancestral bloodline, to not lose that connection, because essentially that is your umbilical cord. That is what's going to nourish you. That is what's going to keep you moving forward. That's what's going to help you to grow. Without that, you cut off your source of nourishment. Okay? You cut off your sense of nourishment. All right, y'all. I'm going to, should I pull something? to see what is showing up. And this is the card that I actually I pulled earlier. This is the death and rebirth card. It's the card of the ancestors. This is definitely a card of karmic retribution. It's definitely a card of karmic retribution. Oh, okay, I got you. This is another message that I received. Speaking of karmic retribution, I received a message, and somebody may actually need to hear this, or you get to hear this, okay? This is what I heard before coming on here and doing this live. Until they do right by you. This is literally the line from The Color Purple, y'all. And I don't even know. I'm like, what? When I heard this, it was just like mind blown. Until they do right by you, everything they do is going to crumble. That's what I heard. Until they do right by IET. Hey. Things don't look good for them. That's what I heard. Like I was just like, I was just doing my work. And then it's like that thought just came. Until that line from The Color Purple, okay? Where Celie, the mister is coming at her. And he was coming to attack her. And it's like after years and years and years of abuse, here he go, coming to put hands on her. And all she did was literally like muster up her strength and her power. And at that moment, she recognized that she has always been a force that he was intimidated by. And that's why he's been abusing her. So she raised her hand and she said, until you do right by me, this is whoever needs to hear this. Until you do right by my people, everything you do will crumble. Okay? My words have power. Until you do right by my people, you know who you is. Everything you do. That's what I received from Spirit, okay? That Spirit is like everything. Until you do right by IET, everything you do will crumble. We'll just leave it at that. And you know what? Spirit was like, why is it that, and I think it was Celie. Is that her name? Correct me if I'm wrong. Celie from The Color Purple. Was that her name? Her character's name from the movie? Y'all help me out here. Okay. Yeah, she did throw that hex sign at him. And he felt it too. For the first time in her life, she recognized her strength. And she recognized something that she's always had. And the people of IT are going to recognize that as well. Okay? It was Celie, right? Okay, it was Celie. And if y'all notice, after she did that, all she had to do was speak the words into her mouth. Dessalines, Dessalines, Dessalines. All she had to do was speak the words into her mouth. And right after she did that, and I think especially with the last movie, everything that he was literally trying to do, it didn't work out. It was like turmoil. It was, okay, karmic retribution. That's what I was getting from here. Karmic retribution. Y'all see this? My attention was drawn to this planet. You see this planet? That planet is supposed to be up there, ain't it? It's it's not where it's supposed to be, is it? Saturn? Yeah. Ooh wee. That thing is, you see Saturn position in hot lava? Okay. Everything that he did from that point on, the the energy in the movie, okay, that we know as Mr. that used and abused Sealy, who is a powerhouse, a very silent powerhouse. And when she tapped into that energy, literally what she did is, it's like she awakened all the forces, all, it's like all the cosmos came. And then it's like one by one by one by one, everything he was literally doing was failing. He was literally he was miserable. He was on the path to death. And it's at that time when he started experiencing karmic retribution that he understood that Sealy has always been the source of his power, his existence. Okay? Let that sink in. Your ancestors are wanting you to know that they have always been the source of your power. They have always been the source of your existence, your humanity. You know that you are human. You know of your humanity because of them. And specifically because of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. That is the energy that I was getting, okay? That's the energy, okay, that I'm channeling here. Your ancestors are wanting you to know to speak to them because they're ready to listen. They're ready to listen. They're ready to feel your energy. Yeah, they're ready to listen. So, whoever you are, okay, they want to hear from you. What? Okay. Something about the significance of the palm tree. That's interesting too. Y'all see that? Something about the significance of the palm tree. You're being as tall and strong as the palm tree. To remember the palm tree. All right, I'm going to pull some cards and see what else I get here. Eight of Wands. Talk about karmic retribution is coming. Momentum. Something happening, something taking place. Okay, there's some momentum. I'm getting also the number 3. Okay, 8 and 13 equals to 3. Opening, access, giving way to this. Ace of Cups. Okay, I got you. I'm also hearing to remove. Okay, remove all energies that are blocking you. Okay, removing all energies that are blocking you, blocking your path. And most importantly, what I'm getting is there's something connected with something being completely removed. This total disruption. Something is being completely disrupted, removed for something else to happen, for something else to come, like a new beginning. Okay? It's like this eight of wands represents energy, force, movement, forward movement. Okay, like I also feel like your ancestors are doing work behind the scenes. Okay, it's almost like there's magic, there's like a lot of cosmic stuff, like the planets are being aligned, you know, things are working out for a new beginning. Okay. And many of you have been hearing about this new beginning. All right. You've been hearing about this new beginning for quite some time. It's crazy. It's crazy. I can't get over this image of this planet. This is Saturn, literally, like this is Saturn literally buried, or I don't know what it is, like I'm getting that there's something being disrupted here. There's something being disrupted. And you notice how all these masks, okay, all these masks represent the energy of your ancestors. Okay, it's like their force, their energy is, they're doing some things, and they're causing some disruptions here. All right, there's some major disruptions being caused. And I also feel like whoever is experiencing the disruption, see, it's like it's like that movie, The Color Purple, that I was talking about. Whoever is experiencing those whoever is experiencing the color purple. No, that's not what I meant to say. Okay, somebody's experiencing the color purple. Purple, that's Saturn. Oh shoot. Isn't purple Saturn, y'all? What? Oh, wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that Saturn? It is today. It is today. The color purple. That's why. That's the connection that I was getting. The color purple. Okay? Mr. Ooh-wee. Mr., you know who that Mr. is in your life. You know who that Mr. is in your life, okay? In some people's cases, it's a Mrs. Okay, Mr. is that energy that's being disrupted at this time. You see, Mr. knew in the color purple that when the disruption came, he knew exactly why he was experiencing the disruption. 'Cause why? He know what he did. Yeah, they know what they did. They know what they did. I keep hearing, I know what you did last summer. What y'all do last summer, huh? What did y'all do last summer? You who's getting disrupted. That's what I'm hearing. See, like spirit sometimes channels things through movies and music. I'm hearing I know what you did last summer. Somebody. Okay? He knew, Mr. Knew, Mr. Knew that when he was experiencing that disruption, he knew exactly where it was coming from. He knew that it was karmic retribution that he was experiencing for mistreating Miss Seeley all her life. Ooh, he did some treacherous stuff. He did some treacherous stuff. And I mean, like, talking about treated her less than human. Ooh. All y'all folks that's been treating people less than human. Okay? Inhumane. Them inhumane treatments. Okay, y'all know what y'all did last summer. Okay. And he knew when he was experiencing karmic retribution, that's exactly why, because he knew what he also did. He knew the treacherous things that he did, and he also knew what was coming. See that the moment when she did that, he already knew what was coming. He knew what was coming the minute that she did this and said, until you do right by IT. Well, oh, your words have power, honey. Whoever you are, okay, you are a chosen, you are connected. Your words have power. See, that's why they wanted to shut you up. They didn't want you to speak. They tried to, if that's not a word, it is today. They tried to invalidate your gifts, okay? They tried to, convince you that you didn't have a gift. They tried to convince you that you didn't have power. That was the only power they had, was convincing you that you had none. Rewind. The only power they had was to convince you that you have none. The only power they have is to convince you that you have none. For many of y'all who are just so stuck on that Jesus that they fed you, okay, during the time of captivity, all right, that still have not released yourself from that mental bondage, that's the power that they have over you. It's religion. Oh, you didn't know? You didn't know that that's how you've been, captivated that whole time? That's how you've been put asleep all that time? That's how you've stayed asleep all that time? You didn't know that? Because you keep waiting for a white Jesus to save you. That's what they did. Not only did they make it up, he didn't even look like you. He didn't look like you. So how are you supposed to believe that anything other than what's outside of yourself is going to help you? Point blank, period. That sums it up right there. As long as that savior looks nothing like you, that savior is outside of yourself, there's nothing that you're going to do to help yourself. That was for somebody. So your ancestors are doing some things on your behalf. Okay? Your ancestors are doing some things on your behalf, and some folks are not going to like that. And the folks that are not going to like that, it's the folks that actually know the truth. The folks that know the truth about who you are, where you come from, they're not going to like it, because guess what? They're losing one more captivated mind, one more person that, they have their soul bound, to where they can't go nowhere. That's them folks that are going to be upset. They're losing one more soul that is able to, fight for their freedom. Fight for this new beginning. So, just know that you are some of you, this may be relevant for some of you. You gonna be everyone's friend or everyone's gonna be your friend until you start knowing who you are. The minute that you find out truly who you are and you walk like you know who you are, you may lose a lot of friends who were never actually your friend. Somebody needed to hear that too. You see, a lot of folks bank on people not knowing who they are, not knowing their power. It's even worse if you start talking about it. Oh no, now you got some nerve. Not only are you not supposed to know who you are, well, you talking about it too? You letting people know that you know who you is? Oh no. Now they're gonna really feel some type of way. They're like, how dare he? How dare she? The minute you truly know who you are, many of you gonna find out you're gonna start losing some friends. Because some folks are only your friend, honey, because they know you still sleep. As the young folks would say, period. As long as you still sleep, you are everybody's friend. You are that person that they want to hang out with. You are not a threat. The minute you are awakened to your truth and your power, oh, they're going to watch you closely. Because they're going to be like, you see that one right there? She awake. You see that one right there? He awake. We got to keep a close eye on him. We got to keep a close eye on her. Because she knows the truth. The truth that we have hidden for years and centuries. She has awakened. He has awakened. We got to keep a close eye on that one. You know why? Because she might try to awaken the others. Because he might try to awaken the others. And you know what? They'll even go as far as to try to sabotage you, try to sabotage everything. They will even try to buy you out. They will wave gifts in your face to try to see truly if you can be bought. Some of you, these folks think that you can be bought. Some of you, they position things so that way you can be bought. They bought meaning they can buy your silence. You understand? They can buy your silence. They can buy your energy. Okay, because money is energy. Money is energy. They will wave a few dollars in your face and see, oh, okay, I bet you she'll shut up then. Here's a car. Here's a some of you, they even threw the fake twin flame in your face so you can shut up and be quiet. Here, we'll put this person in her path or in his path. That way, she'll really be quiet or he'll really be quiet. Some of y'all don't know that some of these folks that came into your life were literally planted there to keep you from Shafiwa, you said you want to wake up. What should you do? Start looking within. Start looking within. Start looking within. That's how you wake up. And this may sound insensitive. Stop blaming people for your problems. Okay? Like when you start experiencing stuff like the portal, okay, which are our eyes. Your eyes are a portal. Sometimes that portal needs to be closed, okay? Because a lot of times that portal looking out is interfering from you looking in. So that's what meditation is about. You close that portal, okay? I'm not talking about death, all right? You close those portals. That means you stop looking out and you start looking in. Ask yourself the questions that you know that may be challenging for you. Okay, ask why did I experience that? What did I have to do with that? What is it about me? That's part of how you get to, and you know, it's challenging because I don't think there's a specific formula, okay, for you to awaken. It takes willpower, it takes work, it takes searching, it takes moments of meditation, going within, looking at self. That's what I would say. I hope that helped you. Shafua, I hope that helped. I would say there's definitely not a specific formula to awakening to your power. I also would say that it's a process that we are continually, as you're continuing to elevate, it's like you awaken to new dimensions and things like right now, I can speak personally. There are things that I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, I didn't see that before. Why didn't I see that before? Or I saw it and I just ignored it, or I allowed something outside of myself to make me doubt what I know intuitively. I would also say be cautious about the people that are in your surrounding. That may be, Shafua, this may be for you. Be cautious of the people in your surrounding that may be trying to convince you to stay asleep. Okay? Because there are people in our surrounding, a lot of times they're put there. Okay? It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Okay? Be careful of those people that will try to convince you to stay asleep, to stay dormant, to be content in your sleep state. Okay? Because there are people that are very much content in their sleep state that will try to convince you to be content as well. Like, I've been asked silly questions like, why you always gotta see stuff? Okay? I've gotten like comments like, oh, you don't forget, do you? You know, I listen, like, and you'll get all types of comments. You'll get all types of comments, whether they're intentional or not. It's like, you know, you'll have people that will try to convince you to be content in your sleep state, because as long as you're content in your sleep state, you're a threat to, you know, some of those folks. Because when you're awake and you can expose some of these people, be careful. Okay? Anyone that's trying to convince you that you didn't see what you saw, or you don't know what you know. Oh no, you didn't see that. That's just your mind playing tricks on you. That's just your mind playing. Be careful of those types of people. And sometimes they'll present it as being really cute too. Ain't nothing cute about being unaware. Okay? So I know that's saying a lot. I hope that helped. All right. So, Shifiwa, did that answer your question? I'm just going back here. And I think I pronounced it right. Shifiwa, did I answer your question? I hope I did. All right, y'all. That was a lot being said. So, with all that being said, pay homage to Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Just know that there is a new beginning coming. Okay? Whatever, not whatever, the energy that he represented, which is freedom, which is humanity, liberation. I feel like there's like this energy that's telling you that to be connected with that, because it's tied to some sort of like new beginning, like harvesting and harnessing that energy. It's also like harnessing the power that you have, your ancestral wisdom. Okay. Yeah. Stuff is about to get disrupted. And if you haven't watched that that movie, The Color Purple, symbolism. I feel like there's so much symbolism here. Like a lot of times, like when I give y'all the messages, there's like a whole bunch of stuff happening at the same time. Like I'll pick up on a few things, and then there's some things like sometimes it's not even during the live that it comes to me. It's like after the live, So whatever I meant to say during the live, I say it. I do feel like there's something significant about The Color Purple. Okay. The Color Purple, the movie, as well as The Color Purple itself, representing royalty. Oh, okay. Ashe. I just received something else. Get it energy. Okay. We are coming to, in Aishin Vodun, okay, we are coming to the period of Gede, okay? In our culture, this is where we celebrate our ancestors. Okay, that explains a lot. Okay. Purple. Baon samedi. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that a lot more is going to be revealed to me after this, y'all, because I kid you not, like I'll do the lives and certain things will come, and then afterwards it's just like the information comes even more. 13 is significant. Okay, you get to know 13 is significant for someone, or this may be some spiritual connection with that. All right. Yeah, get it energy. Celebrating the ancestors. Yeah, be in connection with that. Like we are definitely coming to that period of time where a lot of people are saying like it's like that season, okay? Where a lot of people are saying the veil is thin. So this is an auspicious time to connect with your ancestors. Okay? Them revolutionary ones. Them ones that value freedom. Them ones that value, uplifting humanity. And when we talk about these things, you're always going to have some folks that feel some type of way, about this. And if you feel some type of way about this, shame on you. Okay? If you feel some type of way about people talking about elevating their culture and, their people being free, shame on you. You should probably check yourself. What do you value? Do you value captivity? Maybe that's a question you got to ask yourself. If you have a question, with me talking about Dessalines and freeing the Haitian people, shame on you. You should really evaluate that. Okay? And check to see where that's coming from. That's why a lot of my people are afraid to talk about, their culture now, because they're afraid of, what people will think about them. Oh my goodness, I'm afraid, people will think, I don't like white people, or, I'm afraid that, people. No, that don't mean that. Not just because you're talking about elevating your people, that means that you are against another group of people. That does not mean that. And if you think that, shame on you. Okay, shame on you. All right, y'all. Yeah, absolutely. It's we celebrate the ancestors. We celebrate the ancestors. All right, y'all. I think I've been on here for quite some time. Mm. There's something significant about your creativity. All right. Something very significant about your creativity, to focus on that. That's going to be essential in some sort of new beginning that's coming for you as well. Um, and I'm getting the energy that your ancestors, they're doing some things. They're bringing inspiration. They're bringing inspiration. They're bringing energy. They're augmenting your creative gifts. They're preparing you for something new that's about to come. For some of you, like this Ace of Cups truly, truly represents a soul connection. Okay. Your ancestors, for many of you, are getting you ready for a soul connection. Okay, this may mean like soulmate energy, twin flame, whatever you want to call it. Someone of significance in your life. I'm also getting rebirth. Like this is death and rebirth energy. Okay, so this means that something is like doing away with something. Okay, doing away with something to give way to something new. So this may be a way of thinking. This may be, for some of you, this is doing away with certain connections that are not serving your highest purpose. Okay, those connections where people don't value you, those connections where people don't value your ancestry, your bloodline. Okay. Listen, if your friends don't know who your ancestors is, you might want to check that friendship. Or they don't want to know about where you come from. They want to tell you where they come from. So for many of you, the disruption is going to be in a lot of it. Yeah, I'm really getting like there's going to be a disruption. Okay, major disruptions in a lot of like karmic types of energies. Like your spirit guides are removing a lot of the karmics out of your energy. Okay, people that are not serving your highest good, people that are not wanting you to elevate, people that are not wanting to see you rise to your highest self. Like some of that, there's like a cleansing happening. There's a some energy of rejuvenation happening. Like this represents action, something happening in order to remove what no longer serves you, so you can have, like solid, very strong new beginnings. Okay, that's also happening for many of you as well. You have some really strong connections that are coming your way. Let's look into that real quick, because tell me about this Ace of Cups. I'm gonna do this every time I'm like, I'm gonna go, and then something is seen. That's what I was telling y'all, like it don't always come at once. Like some of the stuff just be like, tell me about this Ace of Cups. Yeah, it's you're going to this Three of Pentacles. I feel like it's connecting with the right kind of energies. All right, this Ace of Cups is about connecting with the right kind of energies. Okay, looking forward to the right kind of energies, the right kind of connections. For some of you, this has to do with, you know, someone that you're going to be, or people that you're going to be working with. For some of you, this has to do with like actually some kind of connection. Okay. All right, y'all. That is the message. And for real. All right. Thank you for joining the live. Thank you to everyone who commented. Remember to honor and give thanks to Jean-Jacques Dessalines, to light the candles and, you know, pour libation for this energy and give thanks. All right. Peace, love, divine light.